Welcome to Conscious Gatherers. Tonight's episode is number 90.
Ooh,
90.
that
Yes.
number 9.
Oh, yeah. We've been getting a lot of nines lately. So this falls right in line with that. Today's date is the March the 21st.
I like that. The March.
The March. Yeah. Oh, well.
Ooh-wee.
Well, we'll get into this. I'll finish this. All right. This is March 21st, 2023. And also we're a day past the equinox. And I believe tonight is the new moon. So a lot of things that are manifesting and I've read a lot of astrological reports and it's interesting times, but really it was more of an upbeat thing. We're laughing because we're not even sure what to call this episode because we were thrown a curveball a few minutes ago. Yeah. And it's like, what? She says, do you really want to talk about this? And I said, I think we have to because of the way it came through. So you're wondering what the heck is that? But it has to do with earth changes. We were not expecting this. And sometimes that happens. That's why we're thrown a curveball. So as we call it. So we're going to share some of this with you. And we'll
ease into it.
Well, yes, we're going to ease into this. It's like, wow. So things are happening, folks, and it looks like on a huge, huge scale as I'm seeing it. Not only, I'm going to share some of the things that I've been getting to as we call them our insights. You can call it channeling, but it's really more of it's our own insights. It's connecting with ourselves and maybe some other beings that we speak with on occasion. So, where does it come from? People ask that, but it's really going within. And so I like to use the word insight. Yeah, so it's our sights within, which becomes our outer, what we term the outer world. I'm hoping that this makes sense. Well, obviously I'm here with Royce. My name is Beverly Thompson.
Hello. Good to be here tonight.
Yeah. All right. We're laughing because it's like, what the heck? And I tell you what, this all happened in the last, 20, 30 minutes. So,
yeah, it's like, oh, man.
Yes, I said,
okay. We don't even have time to get it worked up. We're just going to have to go with it.
Yeah, exactly. We're going with it. So hold on, folks, because it's going to be quite a time. So let's get going. Obviously, this week has been a huge week. Internationally, around the world, with the banks, what's going on with the banks. And it looks like we are going to go into another financial, what's called the QFS, which is really a wonderful thing that we're getting into with the fiat system collapsing. So that's what's happening with a lot of the banks.
Well, why don't you explain fiat system in case there's somebody out there that doesn't know?
Okay. Boy, I hope I can say this because to make sense of it, because I'm really not an expert on this, but basically the fiat system, a lot of people have talked about this, so
you can really look based on anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. There's no backup. It's not asset backed.
Yeah,
is the word. So we've been going off of printing the money out of nothingness and
out of the air.
Out of the air. And as most of you know, that the U.S. dollar has been the reserve currency. I think it's the word that they use. And so that is changing. And so, the changes are phenomenal, what's going on in the world. And the Chinese and the Russians coming together, I think that happened over the weekend. There was a meeting with Putin and Xi Jinping. So there's just all kinds of things going on, threat of war, the threat of this, the threat of that. So I think a lot of it has to do with the what's happening with what I call the dark ones, because that whole system that they have controlled is failing and falling, and they're fighting pretty hard. So it's part of the processes that were going on, but I tell you what, we've been told this is going to be an absolutely beautiful world.
Yes, Yes, when all's said and done, hold on. Don't lose your faith, so to speak. Stay strong. Try to generate your happiness from inside of yourself, because that's where happiness truly comes from.
Exactly. Good. Glad you said that. Because we got to keep that in mind, is how powerful beings that we truly are. That's power within ourselves, not over another.
Absolutely.
Okay. A few words that I received a little bit earlier today. Go with it. I got an alignment. So I'm just going to leave it at drawing in to draw out. A figure of speech, yet an enigma in the physical. It's action time. Beware of false promises. They will not hold up. This is the fall of the cabal. And so when we say promises, false promises, I'm calling that the dark ones, the cabal, and we're going to find out how much they have controlled the earth. And we've talked about this before, how we've been kept in shackles, that sort of thing, but we don't even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when all this is over, I remember that feeling that fog, getting that information that the fog is lifted, and we're going to feel such a freedom that we didn't realize we even had. So, okay. Next. I was seeing a vision of some people that are helping clean up the mess. And I was seeing actually these people, men and women, mostly men, at least at the so-called front of the line, with like a fishing net. And the fishing net was like a round circle at the top with the net on on the bottom.
Yeah, so they were individual fishing nets.
Individual fishing nets, not one of those big ones. And so it was like the junk, all right, and the swamp or whatever you want to call it, is being put into this nets. And this one person at the head of the line said, "It's a little bit deeper than I thought." And I could see a look of disgust on his face. And then as this was being cleaned up, a smile would return to his face. And I could see other men and women, and they each had their own nets, and they had their own jobs to do to clean the mess up.
Yes, scooping the mess up.
Yeah. So that's happening now. That all goes along with the banking system. And so we're going to see some major, major, major changes. And I think that's getting pretty well known by now.
Yes. Could I interject something?
Please do.
When I was very little, I was down in the basement, and there was this. I didn't even know about this type of being at the time, but it was a reptilian type of being, and he just showed up out of nowhere and started projecting images into my head, and one of the images was of the dollar bill, and he projected that they were behind it. So that kind of tells you right there that the reptilians have been notoriously put into that category of nefarious, those things that you don't want around you. So it's time for us to be done with that part of our history and move on to something that really works.
Yeah, well, very good, because it's we talked about on the last episode about the seeing eye and all seeing eye, and that it's being, I forget what the words were, but it's like we're all going to see what is behind it. And so what you were shown as a child.
Yes, but that symbol was, what is it when you take something and take it for your own and try to call it something else when it really started off as something good. I'm sorry that the term is not coming to me, but it's been taken over and used for something it was never meant for. So turned upside down, as it were.
Okay. So the seeing eye, because I've seen that with other cultures. Years ago, I was seeing the eye often, still do.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that it's a nefarious thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It was not started as something nefarious.
But it's utilized, and so even some of the things that we hear about, they think it's wonderful for the humanity, etc.
Hijacked.
Hijacked.
That's the word.
There you go. All right, thank you.
Sorry.
That's exactly. A lot of things have been hijacked. And in fact, I've received that word too for quite a while. And hearing a lot of other people use the same word because it's what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, lost my train of thought.
Oh.
It's all right. But they'll all see eye, just a lot of stuff going on. So I also, I was thinking about ending with this, but I'm going to let you know now, and then I'll end it with later. I did get that time manipulation is almost over, but we still have looking glass technology. So, that's interesting, and I think most of you know what that's all about. But we are now, this overall thing is we're breaking bonds with the old paradigm, and that's happening on a huge level.
Yeah, right now in River City.
Okay. But remember, we are the high consciousness and use it. Everybody.
Hear, hear.
All of you listening, it's here. So there's nobody's higher or lower than yourselves. So do remember that, and you're beginning to, and as you get rid of some things that are in you that's no longer for your highest good, even though we've been talking about this for years, and it's still going on because things are in our face.
Yeah.
And if we didn't need to get rid of it, they wouldn't be in our face. So it continues and on and on. You're like, oh crap, I thought I got rid of that, but no, you didn't. And so you see it in at different angles, that sort of thing. And it's really to understand who and what we are as such powerful beings. All right. Are you ready to get into some of the things that came forth in the last few minutes?
Only if I'm forced.
They're going to wonder what in the heck we're talking about.
Oh, wow.
All right.
So now, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were intending to go into meditation, and we were speaking before that, just back and forth, and all of a sudden I look at the carpet, and I'm seeing what looks like a map of the United States, and I started seeing one thing after the other all over this map. And well, they are as follows. Don't drop your teeth or anything, just hold on, because
there's more at the end. And,
yeah.
And you said United States is actually, I would say it's more North America.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes, North America.
But that's all.
That's right.
All the further we've gone with what she's going to share with you now.
Yeah. First, I heard the words Pacific Northwest, and I got a very uneasy feeling about that. And then my gaze went to the Mississippi River, and it was flowing backward. I believe at some time in history that has happened before, and I don't think it was very pleasant for those in its wake, but that's what I saw. And then the next thing was Great Lakes flooding, Lake Mead overwhelmed, the whole of the California finger, as I call it, the Baja Peninsula. I heard a cracking sound. Then I saw, we have spoken about seeing a huge statue in the center of the country, like dead center in the middle of the United States. and it's Lady Liberty, except I saw her holding the U.S. flag and heard the words, "Forever she waves." So it was like in the midst of all this stuff going on, don't lose hope. Remember that the United States is, for all of its faults, a wonderful country. We were built on some wonderful principles, and to put those principles into action is what we're all about right now. And then I saw what looked like the area of perhaps West Virginia, somewhere around in that area. There was a forest fire. It looked like a sizable one. And then there was something about North Dakota, a weavers convention, and I have no idea what that pertains to. In Ottawa, Canada, missing senators. So whether it was our senators traveling someplace or what, I don't know. That's just left as something that I heard. Topeka, Kansas, there was a dust tornado, but it was going in the wrong direction. So there was some kind of a shift going on. Then the sanitation department freeze, and it was like in the New England area. Then I saw what looked to be Texas, where they have the cattle fences with the cattle are brought in to be dispersed or whatever. I saw a huge stampede of cattle, and they were being pushed up against this metal fence to the point where the fence broke. And I mean, there were so many cattle, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And they were running as hard as they could. They had fright in their eyes. And then I saw a shoreline, and I realized that there wasn't any beach there. It was more like rocks and cliff area. So the water had definitely risen. So that was all of that. I was, not feeling all that uplifted from seeing all of that. You want me to go right into this?
You can do that unless you want me to do this. What I received, because this is right after she was done with that.
Sure,
and then
let's do that.
Because hers is much nicer. So we'll read that in a moment. But what I got was my insight was March, a pivotal month, witnessing various upheavals. The softness of breath shall come quickly as the thief in the night. Changes, loss of homes. There will be a loss of homes, but many of those people will find new homes. And many areas will be very welcoming. The spirit of tomorrow is here today, a welcoming breeze. So the spirit of tomorrow is really you explained it quite well.
Yeah, it's like when we think of our future, we see it as being a much brighter time, a much happier time where there's peace and prosperity and goodwill. And so that spirit, we're holding on to that today in the present. So that's that explanation of that.
Welcoming
the way I
breeze. Yeah. And so many of you listening, if you do feel like you need to get out of the way, do listen to that intuition that is yours and move out of the way. And listen to where is the best place for you. If it's to move from a tsunami, whatever it may be, from what we're hearing here, I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you get that urge, like, oh, I gotta go.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, listen to that by all means. But if you don't, than be very peaceful and strong in where you are.
And you may be just, it'd probably be just fine too. So it just, listen within. Okay, if some of the areas be ravaged by forest fire, whatever it may be, a lot of people will be displaced, and there'll be a lot of people that will be very welcoming. There are areas that will be very welcoming. And so those of you that are just fine, welcome these people. I mean, it's up to you and to what you have going on in your life. But you can be very welcoming. That doesn't mean that you have to give up your home or this or that, but it's to share to help get people on their feet again. That means building shelters, farming, or gardening, whatever it may be, to help people make that transition, because it is a transition.
Yeah, so if you have a certain skill, like you know how to plant, you know how to sow seeds, teach how to do that, because it's going to be something well needed. If you are a woodworker, do what you can to pass that knowledge along.
All right, thank you. All right, why don't you share? Would you, Royce, please share what else you have to say?
Okay, my insight. The times are changing so fast, it truly makes your head spin. There is a song whose lyrics state, "It is well with my soul." Whatever befalls us is soon to be a part of our history. Be strong and centered in the knowing that the light from the lantern burns deep within. Follow where that light leads. Wait for it if need be, and you will never be led astray. Know that truth is always undefiled. Upon that you can bank. Show your love to all, even when it seems absurd to do so, for the absurdity lies within the notion that not all should be loved. Allow your gaze to fall across the heavens, for through your sight the orchestration of the winds of change are carried out. What an exquisite time to be of service to those who need you so dearly. Sometimes the rain falls upon the parade, but that is when our dance becomes most beautiful. To sing and dance in the midst of adversity is a gift and a blessing to all who bear witness to its offering. It is a blessing to be here now.
Remember, we are the courageous ones.
We offered our assistance in coming here at this particular time, this beautiful planet with beautiful people, whether they're showing that beautiful side at this very moment or not, it doesn't make any difference. We all are beautiful in the very center of our being.
We are. We'll get through this. We're getting through the changes. Lots of changes. So it's like wow. But I get the word short-lived quite often, and I just heard that just now. These changes can be short-lived, but that doesn't mean you're going to go back to the way you were living.
That's right.
Because that is the old paradigm shutting down. We're not going back. You can't go back.
That's right. You're moving forward and upward.
Yeah. Yeah, so just remember that. Keep that in your gaze.
Yeah.
And keep love in your heart and the love for yourself. And if you need to move quickly, then do so.
And we were.
Go ahead.
Well, we were talking earlier about, do these changes, these particular ones, do they really need to take place? Mm-hmm. And maybe they don't. if we can conjure up that deepest love that resides already within us and infuse our gaze with that love and just not try to control the earth and what she has to do, but just to love her. Who knows how that love may be interpreted in response.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the changes will not have to take place like that. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But we don't control the earth. She is a conscious being. But we do love her. We coexist with her. And if we can just keep that in mind instead of lording over her, mm-hmm. and just be with her and love her, maybe that can have an effect.
Yeah. Something just came to me, and it's like she needs to belch.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'll say it. Like she needs to belch. She needs to let go of some of these things that
pent up energies.
Exactly, pent up energies, and in order for the earth to move on into that new earth, mm-hmm. okay, or realize the new earth is here, the old earth has to die, basically.
Yeah, she's got to move too. She's got to, shift around. Mm-hmm. we have to shift around. If things get uncomfortable, we have to move, and so she does too.
Yeah. So,
and we just happen to be on her, so we get caught up in that movement.
We definitely do. So, talking about the love gaze and working with Lady Gaia, I call Lady Gaia. Mm-hmm. The new Terra is another word has been used. Terra is to as you take this each step especially outdoors, just think of love, think of blessings, a gratitude for her being here, which enables you to be here. Without her, you couldn't be here because there wouldn't be a here.
That's right.
So, as we see it in our physical sense. So, I'm still shaking my head with, some of this stuff because it's like, wow, because years ago we talked about earth changes.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s,
mm-hmm.
maybe in the 80s to 90s. And I thought, okay, well, maybe there's a few things that have happened and, but not to the extent that some were prophesized. And so I'm not saying that's going to happen. What was prophesied will happen, because I think a lot of this, the belching, has been alleviated because the change in the human. And
yes. Well, the more we can raise our vibration, the environment is raised as well. So, that's a way of having an effect.
Response, because
mm-hmm.
our synchronous between humanity and the earth.
Yes.
Synchronicity. So, yeah. Okay. Wow.
Really, we were. I was a bit overwhelmed. Bev and I were both shaking our heads like, oh, man. What are we going to do here?
Yeah, I said, well, as we said, we're going to have to just say it. And
yeah.
So we did.
Yeah.
But do remember, as I think that word short-lived keeps popping back into my head, through my heart into the head. And so it's like, don't panic. Whatever you do, do not panic whatsoever. And just listen to that still small voice within you, which is you. You can call it God. You can call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Same thing. And just follow your heart, and you'll know where to be and when to be.
Yes, and please, while we're going through whatever it is that is coming, if you feel agitation or anger or anything along those lines, if you can, move out of the way of whatever it is is causing that, like if there's something in a room or something, remove yourself from that room. And if it's something that you can do something about, then try to intervene. But there are a lot of things going on now that's, we're just holding our own and being in the midst of everything that is being stirred up as it was, as it is. So we talked about that last podcast. So just do your best to keep centered and to recalibrate yourself so that you don't fall into that pit of being angry and upset and acting out upon that.
Yeah. So walk softly and swiftly.
Yeah. And you don't have to carry a big stick.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Well, thank you for listening to us as we impart this information. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But I think everything's going to be absolutely beautiful. I'm holding to that.
Me too.
I can't not, because it's, I've seen it, I felt it, and that's it's what we're here to do, is to bring those changes and be a part of those changes. So anyway, it's us, it's Earth, and beyond. It's everything, and how important we all are.
Yes, we are.
All right. Any comments are appreciated. We thank those who have made some very nice comments on our last podcast.
Yes, and I'm very grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I think it's a blast. I never thought that I would be taking part in a podcast before Bev got me involved with this. So thank you very much. It's a blessing and a celebration of one of those beautiful rights that we have in this country called freedom of speech.
And it's going to be more free, by the way. Yeah, it's than what it is. So just remember, hold on.
That's right.
And we're going to, see these beautiful changes happen. So, all right, thank you very much. And again, we appreciate comments on our YouTube channel. And if any of you need to get a hold of either Royce or myself or Terry, we see Terry. Hi, Terry. He listens to our podcast. And of course,
hey, Terry.
That started this out this is our 4th season, so over 3 years ago. But the contact number is 864-999-3008, and that's phone 864-999-3008. Thank you, and blessings to all.
Thank you so much for choosing to come here to the earth at this particular time. I love you all, and I thank you for staying, no matter how difficult it has been for you. Thank you for staying. I love you.
I love you. Good night.